ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिधि नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवती पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे उत्तम करोति वाचनं भंगुं लंघायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं Bhagavarupa Narasimha Prabhu very kindly invited me to speak today, even though there are so many Vaishnavas in the assembly who are definitely way more qualified than I am to speak. Thank you, Prabhu, for the opportunity to serve. Today we have this, it's triply auspicious. Today is towards the end of the Kartik Mass. And of course, throughout this Kartik month, we celebrated the unadulterated, unalloyed, continuous, uninterrupted love of Mother Yashoda. How a devotee, even though the Supreme Lord is infinite, the Supreme Lord is undefeatable, the Supreme Lord cannot be captured, how a devotee by her pure love captures the Supreme Lord. We also celebrate Bhishma Panchami. Bhishma Dev is a pure devotee of the Lord, one of the 12 Mahajans. And throughout his life, he was also one of the 8 Vasus. Vasus are assistant demigods. There are Ashta Dikpalas who are responsible for the 8 directions. And then there are Ashta Vasus. Demigods are the cosmic administrators. And of course, when you are administering the cosmos, even if you administer a company or an office, you need assistance. Similarly, when you administer the cosmos, you need assistance. He was one of the Vasus, one of the assistants. And because of an offense to Vashishta Muni, he was cursed by Vashishta to be born in the earthly realm. So today's topic is not Bhishma Dev, but I'll say a couple of lines because it's Bhishma Panchak, which is very, very auspicious for us. He was ready to take disrepute in service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because the Supreme Lord wanted a particular Leela, a particular Kada, much like the Gopis. The Gopis, when the Supreme Lord played his flute, in the middle of the night, they would leave their husbands, they would leave their children, and they would go to the forest in search of Krishna. Similarly, and they gained a lot of disrepute because of that. Even today, people misunderstand the position of the Gopis. The Gopis are the highest of all devotees. That is not understood by the common man. Similarly, Bhishma Dev, in many instances, by fighting against Krishna, can you imagine a pure devotee of the Lord taking his arrows and piercing the body of Krishna? A pure devotee of the Lord not stopping the Vastaharan episode. See, he knew Dharma perfectly, but when Draupadi asked him, how come this is happening, he gave an ambivalent answer. He was neither here nor there. Why? Because he knew the will of the Lord. The will of the Lord was, by the Vastaharan episode, the Lord wanted to show that I am your only shelter. You can have the 5 most powerful men in the world as your husbands. You can have Draupada as your father. You can have all the wealth in the world. You can have so many things. But at the end of the day, I am your only shelter. Through the example of Draupadi, that's what he showed us, and Bhishma Dev facilitated that. So again and again throughout his life, he did actions which put himself in disrepute for the pleasure of the Lord. So that we celebrate. That's the second thing we celebrate. And of course, we are all here to celebrate Tulsi Saligram Vivaha. So today is Purnima of the Kartik month. Today is the day that Vrinda Devi advented as Tulsi. The word Tulsi, Tula, you would have heard of the very wonderful function called Tula Balam, which is, there is a weighing machine, and on one side there is some item, and on another side there is some other item, and you make them equal. So making things equal is called Tula. And Atula means not equal, or without parallel, or without equal. Tulsi Devi was given this name because she is without parallel, without equal. She is the greatest devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So today, in today's Kada, we will see her birth, her pastimes. She married Sankachuda. She ends up marrying Krishna as we committed to the ceremony, beautiful ceremony today. And we will see the whole pastime today. First of all, the advantages of Tulsi worship. Those who are new especially, we should know the advantages of Tulsi worship. In the Skanda Purana, it is mentioned that Tulsi worship, if one glances favorably at Tulsi, if one touches her leaves, if one pays obeisances to Tulsi, if one offers a drop of water to her roots, Srila Prabhupada writes in the Nectar of Devotion, quoting from the Skanda Purana, that such a person is guaranteed pure devotional service. Who wants pure devotional service here? Some hands are missing, but I assume you are holding something in your hand. So, so you are guaranteed pure devotional service according to Skanda Purana, according to Srila Prabhupada, if one time you do some service to Tulsi Maharani. So that is how powerful service to Tulsi Maharani is. Not only just for yourself. The Garga Samhita goes even further. Garga Samhita says that if one person in the family, if one person, Prabhus and Matajis, in the family, they offer one drop of water to Tulsi Maharani. If they pay obeisances to Tulsi Maharani once, if they touch her favorably once, if they glance at her even favorably once, then 21 generations of that family goes back home. This is the power of Tulsi worship. In the Garga Samhita, there is a story. Okay, Srimati Radharani as a pastime. Of course, Srimati Radharani is the eternal consort of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the embodiment of the Ladini Shakti, his internal potency, his pleasure-giving potency of the Lord. And Vrinda Devi, in a way, is an expansion of Srimati Radharani. But as a pastime, to teach all of us, Srimati Radharani asked Chandranana. Chandranana is one of her gopis. The speciality about Chandranana is she has heard the entire Garga Samhita from Garga himself, Garga Muni himself. So she asked Chandranana, what is the way to please Krishna? What is the sure short way to please Krishna? And Chandranana says to Srimati Radharani, by serving Tulsi Maharani. So, what follows is also amazing. As a Leela, Radharani serves Tulsi, and Tulsi then advents before her as Vrinda Devi. And Vrinda Devi also knows the position of Radharani, but offers her the benediction that Krishna will be eternally pleased by her. So, this is the position of Tulsi Maharani. Like I mentioned, she is Vrinda Devi herself. She is the expansion. She is actually the Leela Shakti of the Lord, the pastime potency of the Lord. All the Leelas of the Lord are organized by the Leela Shakti. So she is the super excellent embodiment, just like Srimati Radharani is the super excellent embodiment of the Ladini Shakti, the pleasure-giving potency of the Lord. Vrinda Devi is the super excellent embodiment of the pastime potency of the Lord, of the Leela Shakti of the Lord. So in this way, she is very, very special. She is a transcendental personality. And what I am going to narrate after this is from Brahma Vaivarta Purana. So Brahma Vaivarta Purana is one of the 80 primary Puranas, along with Bhagavata Purana or Srimad Bhagavatam. In the second verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is mentioned, Dharma Projita Kaitavo Atra Paramo Nirmatsaranam Sata Vedyam Vastavam Atra Vastu Shivadam Prapatrayon Mulanam. This verse is giving us the 7 glories of the Srimad Bhagavatam. One of the glories of the Srimad Bhagavatam is Nirmatsaranam Sata. What does that mean? Nirmatsara means without envy. So in the second verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 7 glories of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is mentioned that only one without envy can realize, can understand, can hear the Srimad Bhagavatam, can actually hear the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srimad Bhagavatam is the highest of all Puranas. Like the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is mentioned, it is Amala Purana, spotless Purana. As opposed to this, Brahma Vaivarta Purana is for those in the mode of passion. Okay? So Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Srila Prabhupada never recommended that we read Brahma Vaivarta Purana. But he quoted from Brahma Vaivarta Purana, and our Acharyas and modern day Acharyas who are present with us now, our spiritual masters, including my Guru Maharaj, they have studied Brahma Vaivarta Purana. So now we can understand it in the guise of Vaishnava philosophy. Okay, this is why I chanted the prayers for reading the Bhagavatam at the beginning. This is not a Bhagavatam class. In order for us to take shelter of the Bhagavatam when we are reading from Brahma Vaivarta Purana. In the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Narada Muni is asking Vishnu, Narayana, his Lord, in Vaikuntha. So Tulsi Maharani of Vrinda Devi is so elevated. How did she become a plant? What are her glories? Please tell me the story. And Vishnu becomes very, very satisfied with the inquisitiveness of Narada Muni, and he begins to describe this amazing story. So long ago, that no one really knows how long ago, Sudama, the eternal associate of Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan, one of his sakhas, becomes, by the will of the Lord, he has a desire to have an amorous relationship with Vrinda Devi. Vrinda Devi is one of the eternal assistants of Radharani. But the mood in Goloka is everybody wants to have a relationship with Krishna. Nobody wants to have a relationship with each other. So in that mode, it is not possible for them to have an amorous relationship. So when Radharani senses the heart of Sudama, under the guise of something or the other, she curses Sudama to be born in the earthly realm. Okay? Because in the earthly realm, they can have an amorous relationship. So Sudama is then born as Sankachuda. Okay? I will tell you the history of Sankachuda a little bit, provided there is time. Parallelly, Tulsi Devi, Vrinda Devi herself, has a desire to have intimate relations with Krishna. So one time during Rasa Leela, Rasa dance, she is dancing with Krishna, and she gets this desire. And Krishna touches her, but she is not able to take the power of that love of Krishna, and she faints right there. And as she faints, Krishna catches her in an embrace. And Radharani sees this. And Radharani again senses the heart of Vrinda Devi. She knows that Vrinda wants to marry Krishna, which is what we just committed to with the ceremony. So, in the guise of a curse, Vrinda sends her to the earthly realm. She says, you have material desire, and she speaks some false words, and she sends her down to the material realm. We should not misunderstand that Vrinda is some kind of a material personality. She is a transcendental personality. Just like Krishna, everything in this world that enters into this world, including Krishna, has to have a purpose. Krishna is born to Mother Devaki, right? And he is born 3 times to Mother Devaki in different lives as Krishni Garbha, and also as Vamana Deva. So, in this way, everything has a beginning in this world. But Krishna's birth is purely transcendental. We all went through Janmashtami not too long ago, and we saw how Krishna's birth has nothing to do with this material world. In fact, the theologists, they describe Krishna in 2 ways. He is simultaneously transcendent and immanent. So this is a technical etymology of who Krishna is. Transcendent eminent means he is everywhere, in everything. In fact, factually, right now, Krishna is in every atom in every universe. What to speak of this room? He is in every atom of this room. Not only in every atom of this room, he is present in every one of our hearts and every heart of every living entity. If there is a microbial organism here floating around, he is in the heart of the microbial organism. So in that way, he is eminent, he is everywhere, he is present in everything. But simultaneously, he is also transcendent. He is not present anywhere. He is aloof from this material energy, including his birth. In the Bhagavad, this is very, very important to understand, because in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself says, Janma karma chame divyam evam yogeti tattvadeham punarjanma. Right? He is saying, if you can understand the nature of my birth, if you can understand the nature of my activities, there is no another birth. It's very, very important. Similarly, Vrinda Devi, who is a transcendental personality, comes into this world, and like everyone coming into this world, including Krishna, she has to have a beginning. So she is born. It's a long story. I won't get into the whole story. I will shorten it for the interest of time. She is born to Dharmadwaja and Madhavi. Dharmadwaja and Madhavi. Actually, 21 generations before that, there is a personality who rules Earth called Rishabdwaja. Okay, Rishabdwaja is Ananya Bhakta of Lord Shiva, and there is a very important lesson there. So I am mentioning this for us because it's very easy for us to fall trap to this Ananya concept. See, one of the threads of the Bhagavad Gita is this Ananya Bhakti. Krishna demands from us this unadulterated, singular love. We only love him, right? But that can be easily misunderstood, and that comes out from the example of Rishabdwaja. Rishabdwaja was an Ananya Bhakta of Lord Shiva. Okay, he performed great sacrifices. He conducted worship. He chanted the Rudra mantra every day. Lord Shiva, being Ashutosha, was very pleased with him and came and stayed with him in his palace for 100 celestial years. So Rishabdwaja was that powerful, but at the same time, while he had Ananya Bhakti for Lord Shiva, he offended all the other personalities, including Lord Vishnu. He would say bad things about the demigods. He would say bad things about Lord Vishnu. He would say bad things about Lord Krishna. So when we misunderstand Ananya Bhakti as not just unadulterated, in the Bhagavatam there is a beautiful verse. Savai pumsam parodharmo yato bhaktir adoshade ahaituti apratihata yayatma suprasidati. The topmost dharma of any living entity is ahaituti apratihata bhakti unto adoshada. What that means is uninterrupted love, undivided, uninterrupted love unto Krishna. What that does not mean is anything negative towards any other personality. Why? Because everyone is in Krishna. Krishna is Sarva Karana Karana. So in the very first verse of the Brahma Samhita, he is described as the cause of all causes. In fact, he is absolute. So he is the effect also, right? So we cannot harbor any ill feelings towards any other deities just because we are Ananya Bhaktas of Krishna. Because Shiva was staying in his palace, all the demigods were afraid. Because they knew about Shiva's anger and they didn't want to offend Lord Shiva. So they let it be. But one time Surya Dev couldn't control himself. he went ahead and said, "You are such an offensive person, Rishabhdwaja. I curse you to lose all your wealth. I curse you to lose all your prosperity." And Shiva heard this. And Shiva took his Nandi and sat on it and started chasing this fellow, Rishabhdwaja. And he chased him all the way to Vaikuntha. They end up in Vaikuntha before Narayan. So there is a lesson in this also. So Rishabhdwaja obviously was not a pure devotee of the Lord. How can he enter Vaikuntha? Srila Prabhupada describes this very hilariously. He says, just like sometimes the animals of Africa are brought into zoo of another country for us to see for entertainment. Just like that, sometimes conditioned living entities are allowed into Vaikuntha for the entertainment of the Vaikuntha Vasis. They entered Vaikuntha and Rishabhdwaja then so Lord Shiva, on seeing Vishnu, he becomes pacified. Vaishnavana Yatha Shambhu. He is the topmost of all devotees of Lord Shiva. So on seeing him, he becomes pacified. But then he expresses a concern to Vishnu. See, my devotee, Rishabhdwaja, is okay. I think there has to be a part 2 for this.
Next week we can arrange it. Probably will take 5 weeks only now, but it will not be concluded. But next Sunday programs we can continue also. 5 weeks yes.
I apologize. My wife always says I can never speak on time. She is blue and right today. So that pastime I will quickly conclude. And so Lord Shiva then becomes pacified. But one moment in Vaikuntha is 21 generations in planet Earth. So by the time the 21 descendants of Rishabhdwaja have passed, and now Dharmadwaja is ruling. Dharmadwaja is married to Madhavi, and Madhavi and Dharmadwaja, they have a daughter. And she stays in the womb. Mataji's especially listen carefully. She stays in the womb for 100 celestial years. Imagine, my wife is pregnant right now, and the 9 months itself towards the end, it becomes quite onerous. You are so big and you cannot move. 100 celestial years, Vrinda Devi stayed inside Madhavi, and she became so effulgent because Vrinda Devi is a pure devotee of the Lord, an eternal associate of the Lord. Madhavi became so effulgent, and finally, the one without parallel in beauty, Tulsi, was born. As soon as she was born, she was a grown-up girl and she goes to do austerity. Imagine again, Prabhus and Mataji's. Your child is born and decides to immediately go to Badrinath to do austerities. And in the first 10,000 years, your child only eats fruit. In the next 20,000 years, your child eats only leaves. Another 40,000 years only inhales air, and for the next 40,000 years stops breathing also, meditating on Krishna. And Brahma appears before her and she reveals her true identity, that I am an eternal associate of Krishna and this is what happened in Goloka Vrindavan and I was cursed by Radharani. And Brahma benedicts her. She says, there is a fellow, Shankachuda, who used to be Sudama, you marry him. But don't worry, eventually you will marry Narayana. And I will end with this point too. Narayana, to that, Vrinda Devi, you know what she says? She says, I don't want to marry Narayana. I want to marry Krishna. Why? Because Krishna has 4 more qualities than Narayana. Anyone knows what the 4 qualities are? Yes. Veda Madhuri, yes. Leela Madhuri, Rupa Madhuri, Prema Madhuri. So Krishna's flute is, for example, one of the 4 so sweet that even Vishnu is not so sweet. So in exchange for that, Brahma being now the guru of Vrinda Devi gives her the Radha mantra. She says, you have offended Radha, so I give you the 16-letter Radha mantra. You chant that for 12 years consecutively. Prabhus and Mataji's. Who chanted 16 rounds today? So that took 2 hours, more or less, maybe 2.5 for some, 1.5 for some, depending on your pace of time. Imagine non-stop, Ahituki Apratihata. You chant for 12 years the Mahamantra. That is what Tulsi did. And at the end of that, she married Shankachura. And I will very quickly summarize the rest of the pastime so you can hear from someone else in the next event. Shankachuda becomes so powerful because he gets a benediction from Brahma himself to take over the 3 planetary systems. He takes over the demigods, he takes over the demons, and he rules all the planetary systems. The demigods go to Brahma, go to Shiva, and go to Vishnu, and Vishnu promises that he will do good by the demigods. For that, the chastity of Tulsi has to be taken away. Shankachuda has 2 reasons why he cannot be defeated. One is he gets an anklet, which is called Sarva Mangala Mayam. That's the anklet he gets from Brahmaji. When one has that anklet, one cannot be defeated. But the second is the chastity of his wife, Tulsi Maharani. Krishna, as usual, plays his trick and takes the chastity away and eventually marries. And in exchange for taking the chastity away, what happens? Tulsi curses Krishna. Tulsi curses tells him, your heart is like stone, so you will turn into stone. So he becomes Saligram. And she becomes the Gandaki river and Tulsi as the plant. This is most scientific proposal after this. Do not question that how can a plant be so powerful. This is Vrinda Devi herself. Every Ekadasi, take the vow to take some leaves, ideally 108 leaves of Tulsi, dip it in Chandan and offer it to Krishna. Krishna is most pleased. You cannot offer enough fruits and vegetables and dishes to satisfy him, but offering in this way, he is most pleased. Thank you so much. So sorry I took so much time.